Tiki. I saw this in Chicago. I saw it in the Celebration shop. I saw it on the floor. What is it about Tiki, Craig, that piques your interest? And also, what is Tiki?
What is Tiki? It's a good question. I think, are you up for a little bit of a potted history?
I would love a potted history.
So Tiki is a trend that originated in the US. It sort of takes its aesthetics and its vibe from the art and the culture of the South Pacific Islands. And it's sort of enjoying a bit of a renaissance today, slightly ironically, as it's a revival of its kind of boom time, which was the sort of 50s and early 60s. It's kind of tied to that whole kitsch retro Americana thing. It goes hand in hand with sort of the atomic age and vintage pin-up girls, and hot rods, and old-timey rock and roll, all of which I'm quite partial to. So its origins in Polynesian mythology, Tiki was the first man on Earth, and it's a term that's widely used to describe these wooden carved effigies of gods and ancestors, which is a sort of key element that's inspired a lot of the sort of pop culture mashups that we're seeing today. So it's always been associated with escapism and good times, and while it's synonymous with kind of 50s and 60s, its origins actually date back to the 30s, when the first Tiki bar, which was called Don the Beachcomber, opened in LA. And this was the brainchild of a guy called Ernest Raymond Beaumont Gant, who travelled the world, explored the Caribbean and the South Pacific, and he came back to the States. And he wanted to set up this bar that kind of captured some of that magic. So he changed his name to Don Beach, and he set up this Tiki bar. And the menu was loosely inspired by the kind of things he'd experienced out there, tropical flavours. And it kind of set the template for the sort of Tiki culture that endures today. But when it became really popular was after World War II. So young GIs were sent out, deployed to the South Pacific. They were specifically on islands like Tonga and Fiji, Hawaii. They kind of developed this taste for the tropical, which they came back and sort of passed on to the rest of the nation in the post-war years. So when you think about Tiki style, it's got a very, very defined look, and it's sort of typified by things like bamboo and thatched. And again, these carved hardwoods, these Tiki idols and these masks, a little bit of kind of nautical props, nets and buoys kind of thrown in there, tropical flowers, exotic ladies in grass skirts, and then this exotica sound of ukuleles and Hawaiian guitars. So there's this whole kind of sort of visual and experiential kind of elements that kind of define Tiki culture. But one of the main things is they have these rum-based kind of drinks, which were always elaborately served with flowers and little parasols, and they were originally in coconuts and hollowed out pineapples, and eventually people started to create these kind of ceramic Tiki mugs, which people would take home from the bars as souvenirs, just like they would if they'd gone off to the South Sea Islands on holiday. And they became very collectible. And alongside that, you'd have like the stirrers and the swizzle sticks. So this whole kind of paraphernalia grew up that people would take home and wanted to continue the experience at home. So this idea of little Tiki bars in basements and garages and spare rooms at home became the in thing. If you had a Tiki bar, you were kind of happening. And I think interestingly, sort of, talking about Star Wars, that Disney's had a long association with sort of South Sea Island culture. It's leaned on it quite a bit for inspiration over the years. The Enchanted Tiki Room was an early attraction at Disneyland, and that's still around with the animatronic birds. I don't know whether anybody's been in there. One of the first Disney resorts was the Polynesian Village, which is a whole kind of Tiki themed environment where people kind of stay. And that's home to Trader Sam's Grog Grotto, which is one of the best Tiki bars I've ever been to. Has anyone ever been to Trader Sam's at Disneyland?
I've been to the Tiki bar. I went in the Tiki room when I was there. Yeah, lots of singing animals and craziness. It was good. Considering it's a nearly 50-year-old ride, it's pretty entertaining.
So that's the big kind of the theme park ride, but they've got like a almost like a little speakeasy that's on the resort. That's sort of it's not widely promoted. It's like a little anonymous door. You kind of have to know about it. But you go in there. It's quite, like I say, quite small, quite limited numbers. But every drink comes with its own chant, or it triggers some sort of animatronic event. So if you order the one that's like a volcano, the volcano goes off on the wall and things like that. So it's incredibly creative and a wonderful kind of place to go. So if we ever go back there, we should all have a drink at Trader Sam's. I'll take you. First round on me. So yeah, there's this Disney connection with Tiki that kind of runs through the years, and of course you've got Lilo and Stitch and Moana. You've got actual films and properties kind of set in those environments. But by the late 60s, sort of Tiki style became very unfashionable, and it kind of descended into kitsch and was kind of very sort of looked down on. And I think probably for a lot of UK listeners, the closest reference for its kind of naffness at that time would be kind of Del Boy's Bar in Only Fools and Horses with his pineapple ice bucket. It's kind of, that's where it ended up. But it's had a recent revival, which has, I think, been driven by retro loving hipsters, and it's still very much about escapism, that kind of the wackiness of the drinks, and you go in these places and they're very, they transport you somewhere else. So Star Wars kind of met Tiki when a company called Beeline Creative, who'd created the Star Wars beer steins, if you remember those, pitched the idea of these Star Wars figural Tiki mugs to Lucasfilm as recently as 2016, and in kind of 4 short years, they've got this product range now that just covers this massive range of pop culture properties that are almost kind of like Funko Pop levels. You name it, there's probably some wacky little Tiki mug, whether it's Universal Monsters, Star Trek, Rick and Morty. They're all they've all been sort of covered. Did anyone see the Star Wars Tiki mashup panel at Celebration Chicago?
No. I'm glad I didn't, because I think I might have bought some.
I think it was Darth Elvis, but he kind of they rounded up kind of this whole kind of marriage of Tiki culture and Star Wars in a really good panel. It's online. You can go and watch it. But yeah, and they're just sort of, as part of all of this new stuff that's coming out, they're continuing their very, very big line of stuff with. There's a couple of Tiki mugs that they've done for The Mandalorian. They've done The Mandalorian and the Child, little mini one, and they've just done a sort of tie-in with an artist that lives and breathes this kind of retro aesthetic, guy called Shag, and he's done a collaboration with the guys at Geeki-Tikis to do some new Tiki mugs of Vader and Fett, Chewie and Yoda, and alongside other merch like coasters and swizzle sticks and things. So it's got very popular very quickly. One of the things that that caught my eye out of this new wave of stuff is that they've done this kind of ceramic Tiki mug, but it's in the shape of the classic Star Wars arcade machine. Clearly they've worked through a lot of the characters, so they're looking at different things to be inspired by, and I thought that was quite an interesting development.
Do you know what? I remember being out in Celebration in Chicago and going in a store and seeing the Rancor in there and thinking, oh, what is that then? And then I saw the Greedo, obviously being a Greedo collector, on the shop floor, and I didn't pull the trigger on it. Now I'm looking at the images of some of the range. Some of them are absolutely stunning, aren't they? I love the Millennium Falcon. I mean,
beautiful. It's like a big punch bowl.
Exactly. Can you imagine that with a big cocktail in it in the summer out in your garden? But there's so many of them. I love the Jabba with the little Salacious Crumb and the little bib for tune you can get for it. I mean, they are beautiful. What does everyone else think about these? Because they are a little bit niche, aren't they?
I love them, and I've always loved that style, that aesthetic. And I've been aware of that artist called Shag for some years. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and it's always nice to see somebody who knows their craft, knows what they're good at, and is a master in their field. And he's done a great job on the packaging, and the box art on the vein is just fabulous. I absolutely love it. And it's interesting, isn't it, to see something so far removed from that original kind of movement, the Tiki movement and the style, and have it sort of integrate the Star Wars, and yet it works so well. It just goes to show the imagination. There's no limits to what Star Wars can be applied to, and for it to work, not just like shoehorned into any old stuff. I mean, these designs really do work. some characters work better than others, but I absolutely love them. I think they're fantastic.
I really wish I'd gone to the panel now, because I just didn't know anything about it. But now I've seen these. I've seen people post. In fact, it's Sean Moynihan is into this massively, and every now and then I see him posting an image on Facebook of him with his falcon. So when the big falcon bowl arrived with the Chewbacca and I think his Han muglets which go with it, he was saying, he was full of excitement when this arrived, and I'd seen him every now and then just having a bit of a session on it in his patio, enjoying some booze out of a little muglet. But it's definitely got me looking at this and checking out Amazon and stuff. The Falcon isn't available, I don't believe. I think the last time I saw it, it was on. You could get it on eBay, sent from America for about 450 quid. Some of these are really quite pricey. But the Tiki stuff definitely seems to be, as you say, Craig, having a large comeback. It just so happened just now on my Facebook feed, someone's just posted John Lewis's are now doing a Tiki bar, so you can buy your own bar for the patio to have a sort of, that type of Hawaiian night or Hawaiian afternoon, whatever floats your boat in your back garden. So definitely something which I think is just a little bit of fun, and the Falcon in particular, it really works. Some of these muglets look like the little idol there at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but really, really cool.
I must admit as well, Craig, I love all the backstory of it as well. You make it want to buy even more as well, which I tell you, I don't know how much time you've got. I know I've just planted a massive die-cast enhanced version of you, but this would be quite a nice blog post.
Well, I wrote all that down, so I'll just copy and paste it. I mean, I love it. I think it's, we all need a bit of escapism, and I do like all that kind of vintage retro sort of lifestyle stuff anyway. So Tiki's long been on my radar, as Mark says. Shag's a great artist, and I love the style, and it translates very well, and they've just hit this really great formula that means they can just trot this stuff out, and everything looks great. I mean, I don't know anybody who has them all. That's a big amount of real estate on your bar. We've got home priorities, but I got the Rancor, which comes with a little muglet of Luke, and it sits in his hand, and it's just lovely. And I've got the Jawa, and I've got Wicket, and that's that works for me. It's a little kind of smattering, and I don't need every single one. They did a lovely collector's case, like a Vader's head collector's case with all the tiny little ones in, which was they were having on pre-order at Chicago. But even like the little swizzle sticks, they're like little totem poles. I've got a couple of those, and they're just cool. It's just fun stuff.
Have you got any outside of Star Wars? Do you get any of the other ones?
No, I tell you what. When we went to Trader Sam's in Disney, one of their big sort of flagship cocktail comes in the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Right.
It's like a big brown gravy boat, but we had such a good time, and we came away and we were just kicking ourselves that we didn't get the Nautilus. So when Celebration was in Orlando a couple of years ago, whenever it was, we went back there, and we weren't leaving without the Nautilus. So that takes up a lot of shelf space. But you can all, stick a straw in and drink at the same time. It's very social.
I was going to say, did any of you guys collect garbage or ever collect Garbage Pail Kids?
Oh, yeah.
Probably the young one.
Load,
Yeah. So they do, Xavier have got them at the minute. They do Garbage Pail, the Geeki-Tiki ones, Garbage Pail Kids ones. They got an atom bomb with the kind of mushroom cloud coming out of his head that kind of fits the whole Polynesian volcanoes. And I was looking at that one. Might have to get that. Yeah.
Do you know what? When I woke up this morning, I didn't really know too much about Tiki. Didn't ever think it would be anything for me, but I've just ordered a Tusken Raider live. We know we like to do this. Be with me by Thursday, but I'm away, so just hope they don't damage it when they break it somewhere.
Have you bought that just now, have you, while we're talking?
Yeah.
I love a live purchase.
I'm hip. I'm a Geeki-Tiki.
There you go. We all need to get shirts.
Yeah, that's it. I think we should. Is there Tiki bars in Britain? Craig?
Yeah, I think there are. Yeah, there's a couple in London.
I'm pretty sure there's one in Henley just down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should go get tikied up.
I'm thinking a Tiki road trip.
Yeah, man.
Jez can be designated driver.
Standard.
Doesn't need a drink.
No.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, a great topic, and really, really great that you brought that to all our attention. Great. Something else to.
Enjoy your Mai Tai at your Tuscan Raider when it arrives.
Oh, I will.